Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. We are buzzing as always, still coming in hot. Well, maybe not hot, coming in a little cold from beautiful Toronto. It's good to be back. My tan's gone. I'm looking whiter than Casper the Ghost, but that's part of it living in Toronto. Super pumped for today's episode. Their company has absolutely blown up over the last couple months, not just because they hold a shite ton of Bitcoin on the balance sheet, but they are also building real world products, publicly traded. Can't wait to get into this and the Exoskeletons, which blew my mind when I did research for this show. I was like, I need to get one of these that could help my golf game, that could help me with just stuff around the condo. I cannot wait to get into this. Today we have the one and only Michael Moe on the show today, CEO and co-founder of KULR Technology Group, publicly traded on the NYSE under the ticker KULR as KULR. They are a leader in energy management solutions, accelerating the global transition to a sustainable electrification economy. Under his leadership, KULR has developed cutting-edge thermal management and battery safety tech that powers innovation in aerospace, electric vehicles, consumer electronics, and energy storage systems. Michael brings over 20 years of experience in go-to-market strategy, product dev, business growth within hardware, semiconductor, and energy. He's done a bit of everything. Can't wait to get into this. And the reason why he's on the show today is this is a crypto podcast. They have 668 Bitcoin valued at approximately $65 million. We love to see that going a la MicroStrategy, which is just incredible. Michael, welcome to the show, my friend. Pumped to have you on. How you doing this lovely morning?
Yeah, no, thank you, Matt. Great to be here. And thank you very much for the intro. Appreciate it.
Pumped to have you on here, mate. Again, this is a bit of a unique epi for us because normally, when a founder comes on or a CEO comes on or any title for that matter, it's really, they own a crypto company. You guys have dabbled into the Bitcoin space, which we love, and we'll jump right into that. But I'm more excited for part 2 of the show, which is about the exoskeleton, the thermal tech, and all the actual real world stuff you guys are doing, which is so freaking cool. But before that, firstly, congrats and way to become one of the leaders holding 668 Bitcoin. Walk me through this whole process, Michael. What was your first little aha moment? Was it Michael Saylor? Was it Trump being more chill with Bitcoin? Was it yourself? I know yourself, you're a Bitcoin maxi, you love your Bitcoin, but walk me through the whole process. How much of a shit show was it to get the board involved? I want to hear it from head to toe, the whole story of acquiring the Bitcoin that you guys acquired.
Yeah, I wish it was that much drama, but it was a lot less. So I'm going to save the real life of Silicon Valley drama to another day. But the orange pill moment for me is listening to Michael Saylor's Q3 2024 earnings call for MicroStrategy. Now, strategy, again. And, that whole call was probably about a couple of hours, 2 hours, an hour, 40 minutes, 2 hours. About 31 minutes into it, after the CEO, CFO gone through the business side of the strategy, Michael came on and really spent, I think, about 45 minutes, really reiterated his philosophy, his conviction, his execution strategy, and his historical performance since 2020 when he first adopted it, all the way down since 4 years, how strategy stock has outperformed every asset class, literally S&P 500, the Max 7, the whole bit, right?
Everything,
right? So that was kind of the financial performance aside, just how he really reiterated the whole underlying philosophy behind it. That was kind of a game changer for me. I've been following Michael Saylor for a long time, since the late 90s. I've been in the business, technology business for, almost, 30 years now. And I remember back in the late 90s when the first .com boom, he was one of the most storied success stories. Then unfortunately, .com busted, and he lost 90% of his wealth. Is the youngest billionaire to the youngest billionaire who lost most of the money, other than SoftBank's Masa-san lost, I think it was like 99% in a month or something like that. And so it's just a incredible resilience in these leaders. Their vision, their resiliency, survive 90+% down, keep going up, and just keep on, the evolution of the MicroStrategy and the Michael Saylor. So I always followed him for 30 years. But that earnings call was a game changer for me. And then I spent probably the next month or so, or a week or so, kind of going through every Michael Saylor interview I can get my hands on YouTube. Watched, many of them again. The Lex Friedman interview. Yeah.
it's electric content, isn't it? Like the guy
Oh,
knows how to tell a friggin' story and like get you fired up. Like he's not
fired
just
up.
he's not just good at giving the Bitcoin orange pill narrative. He's good. I think again, it's also the way he talks, Michael. Like he's so chill. Like you know what I mean? Like everything is just A1 in my opinion.
It is the combination of the intellectual intensity that
Well
Saylor
said.
has throughout
Well said.
30 years, right? How smart he is. I mean, MIT start company, youngest and so forth. That's go without saying. So the intellectual intensity, the historical background he brings to the table from a technical perspective, and also the financial systems, the fiat currency, and all the analytical skills that comes with it, and the vision he can communicate based on all these analysis and intellectual firepower, and then how he foresees the future, and then have history, vision, and execution to back it up. Right? That's rare in and how consistent he is throughout. So you listen to his interview from 2 years ago to a year ago to 2 months ago to today, the message is very, very consistent. It's authentic, it's consistent, and it's never been done before. And then since then, it's still hard to follow since then because just it's very hard to have that combination of intellectual honesty and intensity and the vision at the same level. So that was kind of a game changer moment for me. And frankly, some of the stuff that he talked about, I remember one of the interviews he talked about digital capital and digital energy, and then Bitcoin is digital energy, and the physics and math he kind of put the analogy behind it, which was Bitcoin is created with electricity, which is it's a form of energy that whether start with fossil fuel or solar power, how you get the electric energy, then you use electric energy to mine the Bitcoin. So that converted into a digital form he called digital energy. And that digital energy, and you can kind of correlate digital energy with digital capital. And then that form is the lowest form of capital of a financial asset that can be stored and transported across time and space with the lowest cost and the highest appreciation historically.
Mm.
There's no other asset like that. No. So he gave an example. And let's say that if you have $1 billion worth of gold and you want to take it from New York to Tokyo and you want to store it for 10 years. And I think his math was that, you need to charter a plane. You need some big guys with guns to guard this thing. And it costs you $250,000. He probably even priced that out in the practical world. So it's 25 basis point to do that, just to transport and to store it and still keep value over time. The next 10 years, you need to rent out a vault,
Yeah.
have guys who has guns to guard it, and so there's cost associated with
Yeah.
it, right? And so obviously he's a believer that if you buy bonds and debt, you're losing, so you're losing money due to inflation. So the digital currency, digital energy, that part of the interview really resonated with me because that's how we think about some of the thermal management stuff that we do for NASA. Our products on the Mars rover, Perseverance, the thermal, the capacitor, keep the electronics and the batteries safe while on the International Space Station. But some of the math and physics that goes into calculate that has really good analogy to this digital energy concept. So
Mm.
that one intellectually kind of really connected with me. And so that's how we got started. Like that's how I got my orange pill moment. But then on December the 4th, we did a survey on X about, hey, should KULR be in the Bitcoin treasury reserve strategy? We got thousands of feedback from X on that survey. 2/3 of it says yes, 1/3 of it says no. Out of that 1/3 no, 1/3 of it I think it's just people just don't like crypto and
Of
Bitcoin period.
course.
So
Yeah.
you're never gonna get those people. And the other 2/3 were wondering the no were, is that gonna be financially feasible for you? Number one. Number two, is that going to be a distraction for your core business? But over the last few months, we've proven, number one, we have the capability to buy more Bitcoin. So we started with $21 million, and now we're up to 60 some million dollars with the Bitcoin, 668 Bitcoins now. And our core business have really strengthened, diversified and strengthened. So we've proven that we can do it financially, and it's actually pushing us to operate better for our core operating business. So far it's a win for us. Obviously a lot of conversation with our board members, who's been very supportive. and we keep an open dialogue with the market, with the shareholders, listen to the feedback. And I think that we communicate very clearly, transparently about our strategy and how it complements our operating business. And I think that every day goes by, we're more and more convinced this is the right strategy for us.
Well said. I mean, I'm completely biased, so obviously take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but I think it's a great marketing tactic / technique as well. Like, so many companies just have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I mean, there's tons in Canada. There used to be tons in Canada. You have the ETFs where you're only getting exposure to Bitcoin. With you guys, you're getting exposure to like world-class, next level, forward-looking technology, obviously present day too, but like even more important for the future. Plus you get that exposure to Bitcoin. You know, like it just seems like a no-brainer. Like I don't really get why that perhaps the board or investors, Michael, would want to say, hey, nah, don't do this. It doesn't make sense. It's like, if you can afford it, I feel like it's almost a win-win. Obviously minus unless the price goes down heavily, but otherwise I feel like it's a pretty safe bet.
I think it's probably a safe bet if you operate in the context of time in order of 4 years plus, because I think the data is that in a 4-year window that you've never lost money in Bitcoin.
Exactly.
So I think that's kind of the timing. Now, I can understand why, 99% of companies or the board don't adopt this, because it's volatile, right? So you stick your money in the bank and it's $10. Tomorrow you wake up, it's $10. So there's no volatility. So you're not worried about that side of the business. That's on your balance sheet, it's stable. But Bitcoin, it fluctuates every second of the day. 24/7, 365. So there is the deep liquidity of it. It's a blessing, but it's also scary.
Well said. It's a curse. It's not for everyone.
Right?
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. So people ask the question a lot: how do you, especially the last 3-4 weeks, giving all the uncertainty in the market, every corner of the market, if you will, people ask you, how do you deal with the volatility? I say a couple of things. One is, I love Michael Saylor's phrase, volatility is vitality. Okay. It's
I love
it's
it.
really vitality, right?
No,
so
you,
through that, through volatility, you can, maybe a little cliche, it's like you can see what you're made out of.
Yeah.
So you got to suffer through this, right? Another person that talk about suffering a lot, I mean, volatility is not suffering, but let's kind of make a slight correlation to the two. Another one talk about suffering a lot is Jensen Huang over at NVIDIA.
Yep.
Okay. So if you search some of the video, the talk he had, especially the one in Stanford Business School, his favorite phrase is that, I wish upon you, you're all some of the brightest, the most elite.
You need to suffer
that's why
more.
you're in Stanford Business School. I wish you ample dose of suffering as soon as possible, right? Because his whole philosophy is that through suffering and challenge, you build your character.
Yeah.
So I think that, philosophically speaking, through volatility, you start building character for the organization, right? So another way to rethink about this is that, because I think our volatility is inevitable in the market going forward. DeepSeek was a highly volatile moment for the biggest of the big tech companies in January, and nobody came, very few people saw it coming. And overnight, it wiped out a couple $1 trillion from the market cap.
Yeah.
Not on NVIDIA's fault or anybody's fault, but it just happened. So these black swan moments is going to happen more frequent with higher order magnitude. And cumulatively, they're going to create such disruption in the market that's totally out of our control, both externally and internally. So for an organization to be structured and be able to survive and thrive in the new age of AI, you better get used to the volatility and what that comes with it. So I've been kind of saying this for a while now. So Bitcoin treasury strategy, its volatility and also how dynamic it is, it's a good training ground for us to prepare for the inevitable every day, which is volatility, dynamic or situation, and you better get used to it.
Yeah, well said. I love what you brought up about Jensen. I was listening to the Founders podcast with Michael Senna. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, but he had an episode on Jensen. And when Jensen was a kid, his parents sent him to a boarding school in the States, and he was the youngest kid by a country mile. And he used to get the shit beaten out of him like every day. And in his talks, he would say that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it turned me into a nail gun. I suffered a lot and I gained that exoskeleton of toughness, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the story. I mean, his parents want to send him to a private boarding school in
Yeah.
America. It turned out it was a private boarding
For
school
like
for troubled
criminals.
youth, for troubled youth. So it was a little bit of a misunderstanding, and he was like, the youngest kid, and I think he played football. Like, imagine the kid from Taiwan that play football in a
Yeah, oh yeah.
in a troubled youth high school.
It's
And
hilarious.
I think he said something like he used to clean toilets in high school, not because of punishment, just part of the chores.
Yeah.
So he's the CEO of a Fortune, 100 company that has cleaned more toilets than anybody else combined. So
Yeah.
that kind of story is just
Amazing.
absolutely amazing. Just absolutely amazing. We actually, in my last company, we were doing semiconductors. I actually had the privilege of competing, against NVIDIA at that time with our product. And, we won accounts and we saw how NVIDIA pivot around their pricing strategy and their overall roadmap. It's an incredible evolution.
Yeah.
Just keep on pivoting,
Yeah.
evolving with the market, and just striving to not perfection, but driving to, perfection and execution. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Everyone should study his story. Listen to that podcast by David Sennett's The Founders Podcast, one of my favorite podcasts.
Yes.
Michael, one last question about Bitcoin before we take a deep dive into all the incredible core tech that you guys are doing at KULR. Do you think that we will, I mean, we can sort of also touch on the huge news, and folks, we are recording on Thursday, April 24th. This will air a week later on May the 1st, Thursday, May the 1st. Yeah, it was yesterday or it was Tuesday. Either way, earlier this week, we had the huge announcement of 21 Capital, Jack Mallers, the CEO of Strike. I think he's still at Strike, maybe not, but he is now going to be running the show at 21 Capital. They have $4.6 billion in Bitcoin right off the bat. Bitfinex, Tether, SoftBank. I think I'm forgetting someone else. I think it's a big bank in there. Regardless, huge.
Cantor Equity Partners. That was a spec. Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. Cantor Equity Partners. You got it. Thank you for that. So many companies getting into the Bitcoin space. You have Jan Over, who's getting into the sort of Sol, micro strategy. You have Sol Strategies in Canada, who's also doing the Solana of micro strategy. Do you think this wave is going to continue? Like right now, there's only a couple outliers, like the KULRs, obviously, and then you have all the Bitcoin mining companies. But over the next couple of years, as the price of Bitcoin inevitably rises and does its normal thing, do you think we're just going to keep seeing an influx of corporations putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet?
It's hard for me to make that prediction or judgment. I kind of go back to my previous comment about the volatility. How would people think about this, the volatility, right? I mean, I'm not a macroeconomic, economist. I will make that disclaimer, but you look at the last 2-3 weeks with the tariff situation, it seems like there's a sea change in how the biggest of the financial institutions, the decision makers, are thinking about global monetary currency and how to deal with, treasury. I mean, we even saw U.S. Treasury, a little bit of a liquidity issue maybe a couple of weeks ago because of some Japanese hedge fund was unloading their carry trade, right? So, that maybe nobody knows for sure exactly what was the catalyst and how it was done. But there was, so there was that. And throughout that time, I think that you saw the Bitcoin price was a lot less correlated to the volatility of the overall market, including the U.S. Treasury.
Well said.
Right. Certainly a lot less volatile than the Max 7 and, a lot of other stocks. I mean, you saw the biggest of the, PE companies. I saw some data like, Black KKR and Carlyle, they were down like 25%, in a week, because of their portfolio companies' IPO and liquidity and how the trade tariffs going to affect some of the portfolio companies. So then you have the Bitcoin, which is a lot less correlated. So I think it's proven itself as to be an uncorrelated asset class to the rest of the financial system. And Michael Saylor predicts it to be a $20 trillion asset class. Right now, it's about $2 trillion. David Lee at Fundstrap, which is probably, I think, is one of the best predictor of markets, said that historically there's never been a $2 trillion financial asset class that disappeared. I think that a lot of the fear of the larger institutions about, or the treasury companies maybe fear about, is this going to go away? But no, it's not, right? So there's huge infrastructure, huge companies, huge financial companies, sovereign wealth funds getting behind this. The ownership is moving from retail to Bitcoin miners to large institutions. Volatility is decreasing, liquidity is increasing. The correlation of Bitcoin versus other assets are getting disintegrated or uncorrelated. So I think it's going to hit an inflection point upon which that the whole system just realizes this is the pivot, like, this is the orange pill moment for a lot of other people. So
Yeah,
that's my
100%.
kind of a high level thinking behind this. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Michael, you're on a roll here, my friend. We got to take a quick break. Give a huge shout out to our sponsor of the show. And when we return, we are going to take a deep dive into KULR's incredible tech, which I can't wait to get into. Until then, huge shout out to Prime XBT, longtime friends and longtime sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love the team at Prime XBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News podcast. Use the promo code CryptoNews50. That's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. And now back to the show with Michael. Let's go right into KULR here. I don't even know where to start, dude. You guys have so many incredible things going on. You have the recent partnership with German Bionic. And guys, this is Exoskeletons. I've heard of Exoskeletons before, never really did a deep dive in them until obviously this opportunity came across the desk. And then I sort of went down the rabbit hole. I was friggin' watching hours and hours of YouTube vids. My girlfriend is like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it's time for bed. It's way too late. And my eyes are glued to the screen on Exoskeletons. The thermal tech, you guys are, like you said, your tech is literally on Mars. You partnered with NASA. So many ways we can take this. I'll throw the ball over to your court. Give us sort of the elevator pitch and the TLDR on what you guys are doing, and then we'll get into some of the fun stuff.
Yeah, no, thank you. The Exoskeleton, obviously, that's a new venture for us.
Yeah.
We have been looking into getting into the physical AI robotics world, which we believe it's going to be the single largest market opportunity. Multi-trillion dollars, no questions asked. The AI at the edge, AI touch physical products is going to be a huge market. So let's dive into that part of the business first. So we start talking to German Robotics as a potential customer because we build batteries. We build really high-end batteries. We're looking at robotics as a area to extend our KULR One battery platform. But after, these exoskeletons are powered by batteries, but very quickly we realized that, number one, German Robotics create the world's most powerful exoskeleton product. It's their 6th generation products called Apogee. And they have done an absolute tremendous job in focus on solving one problem primarily. It's the lower back pain. Okay. So if you search exoskeleton, there might be a whole bunch of different things on the internet. There's some of them help you to climb mountains faster, some of it help you to lift more things. But this particular one is really focused on lower back pain. It's a productivity tool. It's for companies. And as you may or may not know, that lower back pain is the number one cause of injury in professional environment. Whether it's manufacturing, construction, logistics, warehouse, healthcare, nurses, so forth, lower back pain is the number one issue for people to get sick, go to ER, and also a workers' comp insurance.
It's the worst. I just turned 30 and I'm getting lower back pain. My ass is in a chair standing at my desk all day. Couldn't imagine doing manual labor. That'd be the worst.
It is an eye-opening moment to see how this device can help people with lower back pain or to prevent lower back pain through injury. So a lot of it is repetitive motion of lifting things, which is really one of the primary functions that people perform at a lot of these jobs, right? So manufacturing, a lot of people are lifting boxes and materials to do the manufacturing. Construction, absolutely. So US, we have 12 million manufacturing jobs, and we're short of at least 500,000 in 2025, and we're going to be short of that 2 million over the next couple of years. So how to keep the aging workforce perform at the peak performance, make their work life more enjoyable, make it longer, and also attract younger people to be in this field with a more friendly work environment is critical. Construction, 8 million workers, another 500,000 workers short. In US, we're short of 4 million homes. So things are just getting tighter and tighter, the supply chain of people. Nurses, 2 million nurses, nursing homes, another 4 million. And they're helping patients to get out of bed, which, patients are not, they're sick and they feel extra, heavy in these postures. And nurses are not, bodybuilders. So they need all the help they can have to help these patients to kind of get out. So not to mention the UPS, the FedEx, the logistic, the warehouse, and so forth. So the application is just endless, right? There are tens of millions of potential customers for this device. So we start really having conversation with German about as we look into the product. And this product is extremely well built, as you would expect from German engineering. And it's got a lot of sensors built in to give you the reading on how well the suit is performing and taking the weight off from the physical work all moments in time. And so afterwards, it will give you a real-time dashboard about how your body is performing. Okay.
Wow.
So it will give you warning. It could give you warning signals on, hey, you might be getting fatigue because the machine is taking more and more weight from what you're doing. Maybe it's time for a break, right? So give you all early warnings to prevent you from getting injury, right? So that's only part of the function. The other one is by the end of the day, the machine has gathered so much data and it's processed with AI and machine learning on the back end to tell you, hey, maybe you should do this exercise to cool down. And tomorrow, before you come to work or 5 minutes before you put on a suit, these are the exercises you could do to stretch out a little bit to make your life better. And also, you're lifting it this way. Maybe your posture could be improved by 15 degrees this way. And when you're turning, moving the box, it could be, turned this way using this technique for the machine to help you take like 90% of the weight of your body instead of 60%. All these little things can make the huge difference because these people are, lifting hundreds of things every day. So it's all cumulative. When you step back a second, what we're trying to do is, what we believe is that in the next, 5-10 years, with the advance in robotics, which this exoskeleton is, it's a wearable robot, and with AI capability to learn all these things, we want to empower people, everyday Americans and Canadians, and to empower them to do physical work more effectively, with less stress, and with more freedom, with more Superman power or the Iron Man power, and make their life better.
That's incredible. I mean, it's such a huge total addressable market as well. I feel like the TAM for that in particular is absolutely massive. And again, you're just talking about sort of one specific thing, the lower back pain. I'm the same as you. One thing that, and we're running a little tight for time, so we can't take a deep dive into this, but I wish there were more companies like you guys that gave the average Joe exposure to the future of the robotics industry, because I'm in the same camp as you. Like there's a 0% chance it does not become a multi-trillion dollar industry. I just cannot see it. Again, I just can't see it happening. Like a lot of people are going to have robots. I don't know if everyone wants a 5'9" or a 6-foot robot in their house that could potentially be more powerful than them, but maybe a little 4-foot robot that can do similar stuff and that you could at least have that sort of peace of mind over. I just cannot see a world where those aren't absolutely everywhere in trillion-dollar industry. Like Figure, what's the guy, Brett Addock or whatever his name is? I'm butchering his name. Like I would love to invest in his company, but I'm not a VC. Right. I can't. KULR, a great opportunity. I can get exposure to Bitcoin. I can get exposure to robotics, thermal management tech, all of it. I wish there were more companies like you guys that gave average investors exposure to the robotics industry.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's our point of view that the robotics, I think there's probably quite a bit of a fear about, people talk about how robots and AI is going to replace people. But our view is, no, let's not make that happen. Let's use AI and robotics to empower people, especially the average physical, the everyday, the Americans, the Canadians that do a lot of physical work, because that can't be replaced by robots, and it really shouldn't be. How do you make that work actually more enjoyable? How you make it more productive? And how do you empower everyday people to appreciate robots and AI and how that helps them? I think that's probably the biggest industry, not to replace them, is to help them, is to work with 100%. Them, is to empower them, Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Again, the future of robotics is going to be absolutely wild. Michael, we are getting a little tight for time. Just to sort of hammer through these points very quickly here.
Sure, please do.
Your thermal management tech and future developments in sort of the energy management industry, two huge, massive industries that you guys are dabbling in right now. I'd love if you could tell us just sort of high level a little bit about the thermal management tech and some of the really cool use cases that you guys are building for and currently using as well.
Yeah, batteries are everywhere, but unfortunately, batteries have issues that could go to thermal runaway, which is a explosive thing. It will blow up. So we have developed technology to make batteries safer and cooler. So we come from a space and DoD heritage. So we build products for NASA that's on the International Space Station and so forth. So it's really about taking that technology to broader markets. Yeah, but one of the kind of interesting thing is most recently we announced that we won a grant from Texas Space Commission. I kind of go back to our heritage, about $6.7 million to build ultra cold. We talk about cool and cooler, not colder. It's kind of colder technology. It's ultra cold, super cold batteries below 60 degrees Celsius. So when you talk about space exploration, Mars, and so forth, you go into extreme environments, and actually some of these extreme environments. So we want the award. So we're going to be working with NASA in South Day to develop this extreme cold battery pack for future space explorations. But that actually has real life implications that, the U.S. military, which we work with Army DEFCON to developing their next generation battery, have similar requirements because some of their applications are very cold environments. You kind of, before the show, you mentioned one of your buddies is underwater welding. And then so we work with, Lockheed Martin on their underwater vehicles for batteries for that. So, and those are, extreme environments, very high value, high technical requirement batteries, and we develop technology around that, and then eventually go into consumer and more mass market products. So that's in a nutshell our thermal management technology and so forth. And obviously for AI, one of the biggest challenge for AI is energy and energy consumption. And one of the biggest consumption item for energy is actually cooling, like up to 45% of the energy used for Bitcoin mining as well, AI is for cooling. So we're developing technology and so forth to kind of, try to serve that market as well. So yeah, it's just kind of a lot of things to apply our technology to, and then we're exploring in all those areas.
Michael, what an episode. Really appreciate you coming on here. Just, again, I have so much research, so much homework to do here. Truly refreshing as well, having a guest come on who doesn't run a full-on crypto company. Just so many different areas. Again, I got to do research on it. I'm sure the listeners really enjoyed this too. So we really appreciate you coming on. Before we let you go, please plug all socials, website, where people can find you personally. And of course, if you have any news popping off over the next couple of days, weeks, months, we'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you could please follow us on the internet. Our website is KULR, KULR.ai. We're on all the social media platforms on X, KULR Tech. I'm personally on there as well, Michael Mo KULR. And we're on, I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube. We got our YouTube channel that keep people up to date on our products and Exoskeleton products and all these launches, TikTok, you name it. So our team is pretty busy keeping our stakeholders very engaged. And thank you for your time to be on your show today.
Appreciate it, Michael. Folks, what an episode with Michael Mo, CEO and co-founder of KULR Technology Group. Again, publicly traded if you want to get exposure to them on the New York Stock Exchange. The ticker is KULR. Again, that is KULR. Huge shout out to Michael and the team for making this happen. We really appreciate his time. If you guys enjoyed this one, and we hope you did, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. And back to the listeners, keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.